I would say I don't like the term child pornography. Pornography implies that the child is complicit in what they're doing. It's not child pornography, it's child abuse images that you're looking at. You're looking at images of a crime scene. That's what you're doing. There's global technological systems out there to detect this type of offending online. And there's a network, an international network of dedicated law enforcement officers that all talk to each other and will give their best efforts to catch you and find out who you are and where you are. Okay, so I'll take you through to the high-tech crime unit now if you want to follow me. Yeah, so the high-tech crime team's main responsibility is to extract data from digital devices, whether that be phone, computer, USB, encrypted hard drive. Okay, so welcome to the high-tech crime unit. Okay, so depending on what job that comes in, generally this is where the digital device will land when it reaches us. We can exploit the device in here using various forensic software in order to circumvent the PIN code or the alphanumeric code to get into the phone, which tends to be the case if we've got a high-risk offender and the officers want to get into the device very quickly, usually if there's a custody time frame. The offender will have a phone on them. The offender will have Googled something about, if there's any sort of pre-planning, they will have had a look, and the first place they'll go to is Google or some sort of network to have a look to see how best to complete whatever they want to complete. We use various bits of tools that enable us to do this. We've got a photograph station here, which is obviously really important for continuity and making sure we don't change data, which is one of the principles we have to adhere to. Faraday box as well, in order to isolate the devices from the network, which is really important because of security purposes. A lot of the big tech companies like Apple and Google have various mechanisms which make the devices more secure for the user. So we're talking about remote wipe features. So we don't want, once we get hold of a device, generally we don't want it connecting to the network, primarily because it will change data, but probably more importantly because there's that facility now where users can remotely wipe their phone, and it's obviously no use to us. We need that device secure, and the Faraday box is one of the tools we use to do that. Generally it will come in with the detective sergeant saying, Dan, there's a job in, it's a high-risk job, the guy's a teacher, a doctor, or some role where they've got easy access to children. It could be just a dad at home with 3 kids. Once the data is extracted, it's generally to a portable drive. It goes next door where we can process the extracted data using various bits of software we're all trained to use, and actually review the data in a secure environment where we're not going to make any further changes to the device. Well, I suppose one of the things I'd take away from this role is that it cuts through all walks of life. It's not, you know, the people that are financially struggling, it's not people that have addict problems, it's everyone, from doctors, other police officers, teachers, barristers, lawyers.
Come across all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. You will eventually get into that data. It is just a matter of time, so buying the latest iPhone with the latest encryption, yeah, you'll be safe for now, but not forever. We will get into that device eventually. We will get you eventually. So once the data is extracted in the lab, it is processed and reviewed in our office by any one of our digital forensic examiners. And so once we've processed the material and reviewed it initially, we produce a forensic product that will go back to the officer in the case and to the victim ID team.
On our command, we've got lots of different teams. So Dan's on the high-tech crime unit, I'm on the victim ID. You've got everyone who works executing the warrants.
Not that many people in the office today because they're out arresting people, so they'll be in custody suites, interviewing people and doing other types of operations. But the guys and girls who are in here today, they're actually doing their investigations, so they would have been out last week doing all that type of work, executing warrants and stuff. They're catching up with their paperwork and their case files. Where we'll go now, I'll show you the property store. This accounts for all of the investigations that's just run by the central team. And so we're one of 13 teams in the Met that actually deal with this specific type of crime. We've got 12 other teams on all of the BCUs. And so if you imagine multiplying this by 12, this is currently the amount of exhibits that we're dealing with in these investigations. And year on year, we have more suspects. The suspects have more devices. All of the devices all need to be examined to make sure that any evidence on them is found and that we don't miss anything. So it does take a very long time. But this is what we do, this is what the job is. We've already talked about the officers who are doing the investigations, executing warrants and interviewing the suspects. Dan does his bit, whereby he's actually doing all the forensic work, and then the officers come into this room, and this is where they go through the forensic products. So they will look for the evidence on suspects' computers and phones. They also have to grade the images, so all of the illegal images of child abuse that we recover from computers and stuff, they actually have to go through it here. So this is, dare I say, the more ugly side of the investigation. However, it's necessary because so many children are being abused these days. Someone has to do it. Someone has to do this in order to protect and safeguard the kids.
When it comes to the rewarding side of it, everything that is bad about it, or the downside of this job, it's all worthwhile when someone gets locked up because they are abusing children, because whilst they're in prison they can't abuse anyone else. Children are safe from that person.
The job of myself and my team is to try and identify as many of these kids as possible, and once we identify them we can safeguard them and make sure hopefully they have better lives, because this type of crime is growing year on year. The amount of people we arrest is also growing year on year, but the amount of victims is going up, and that's the sad thing. What we need to try and do is to try and educate as many families as possible, educate the children so that they know if they're online and they're being asked to do something they don't want to do, or if they feel uncomfortable or scared, they can come offline. They don't have to do what they're being told to do. They can tell their parents, and then their parents can make sure that they're safe.
So we work as hard as we can to make sure that we do identify and safeguard as many children as possible. And we do that by arresting and locking up as many people as possible who are, you know, sexual predators who, for reasons I'd say known to themselves, don't seem to have any desire to stop this type of offending.
One of the major issues we have is children using social media. It's not such a problem that they're using it, it's about using it safely. We need the support of all of these tech companies that run the huge social media sites. The more support they can give to us when we need it from them, the more that we can do to actually help children make sure that they're safe. Because the internet is a great place, but it's also a dangerous place.